Okay, so we're at my top 10, or we're doing my top 10 favorite video games right now, and we just made it to the top 5. So, number 5 on my list is actually Animal Crossing for the GameCube, which might have to change after this because New Horizons is really, really good. So, Animal Crossing has always been one of my favorite franchises. I don't know what it is about that game, what charm it has, but it's kind of like Stardew Valley. Once you start playing the game, you just get sucked into it for hours and hours and you just can't stop playing. And it's a simple concept, it's not like an RPG concept. It's just, to me, you play that game to relax, have a good time, not stress about objectives on video games, just do whatever you want. And the one for the GameCube did this the best, I feel. Animal Crossing for the GameCube was technically the first Animal Crossing video game to come out. The reason why I say technically is because it was also on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, Super Nintendo in Japan, but it was called Animal Forest, if I'm not correct. I think it's Animal Forest. Someone correct me in the comments. But for the GameCube, it was the first game in the US to come to the GameCube from that franchise. Okay, yes, I worded that perfectly. So, with Animal Crossing for the GameCube, I didn't know what to expect as a kid. I never played an Animal Crossing game, and I definitely never played Stardew Valley because that game wasn't even out yet. So, I popped it in, and me and my sister just dove off into that game. We both had no idea what this game held for us, but I just know once we plugged in that controller, had our island, learned that we could be on the same island, because a lot of people don't like that, but I actually like being on the same island as the people in my house because it just feels that much better. And me and my sister were on the same island, so it was up to both of us to make our island look dope. And I don't know, just playing this game, I have so many memories. Like, I've probably done everything in that game. I've time traveled in that game, obviously, because Animal Crossing, I feel like time traveling doesn't ruin it. I know a lot of people say it ruins it, but I love the time travel in Animal Crossing. And we've started so many different towns, seen all of the villagers. I would say we've played this game for a straight year, non-stop. And that's being realistic. If anything, that's not being accurate enough, because me and my sister, I don't know what it was, we were just addicted to Animal Crossing and couldn't stop playing, and this was like our number one game on the GameCube at the time. So that's probably why I'm gonna have to put it in my top 5 at number 5. It just holds that much, and like I said, in my next video I might replace it with New Horizons because they added a crafting mechanic which changes that whole game completely. It improves it a lot. I love the crafting mechanic, and we'll see next video. So yeah. Okay, so next game on my list is gonna come off to a shocker, I feel, to a couple of you. But it's actually Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, me personally, I have never in my entire life touched a Fire Emblem game. I know, which is why I said that might seem confusing, because, I mean, hey, this guy likes RPGs and stuff, like, why hasn't he played Fire Emblem? I also have never played, what is it, Dragon Quest. I've never played a Dragon Quest. I downloaded the demo for 11, never touched it. Don't worry, I'm gonna do a walkthrough on 11 and give my first reaction on a Dragon Quest game. But Fire Emblem is one of those games that I've never played in my entire life, and I picked it up when it came out, pre-ordered it, got my pins and everything, super happy with those pins. Chose the best house, which is the Blue Lions, and dove into that game and what it had in store for me. Now, me never playing a Fire Emblem game, I had to get used to the battle tactics. part of it, I have never played a battle tactics game except for Pokemon Conquest, and I was very young, and I lost at that game a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot. I beat the game, but it was kind of difficult because I didn't really understand it that well. I didn't know how to level up and stuff like that. So, I'm older, I'm trying out a battle tactics game now, and it's Fire Emblem Three Houses. And yeah, that's my face to that, because like, I had no idea how emotional this game would get. I knew if you lost someone that they would be dead for good in this game, because I mean that's how you have to play it. I played it on that way. You don't have to play it, but I played it on survival. I think it's called survival. But yeah, I let someone on my squad die, and next thing you know, I can't ever use them again. I'm just like, oh, like, wow, I never got to learn that person's potential. But don't worry if you don't do that, because when you start the game up again and you try a different house, what's that? It's a new story. This game has 3 different stories, which the replayability on this game is amazing just for that, because you get 3 different stories. I absolutely love the stories on this game. To me, still my favorite is the Blue Lions, Dimitri Gang, but the stories of Fire Emblem are just so different. I remember I popped this game in, and it played the intro, and I was just like, this is a Nintendo game. Like, there's blood and gore, and like, what is going on? And that was my first introduction into Fire Emblem. The bosses in this game were really cool. These like giant monsters that you have to like take down as a squad. Being the school teacher and doing the school stuff was like a little slice of life that I actually enjoyed, having meals with my students, trying to recruit students from the other schools, stuff like that. That's just some of the stuff that you can do in this game. Other than feeling like you did everything at your own choice. The classes, oh my gosh, the classes. I highly recommend you get a dancer. It's a hidden class. I didn't know that, but for those who are like me and have never played Fire Emblem, try to get the dancer class. That class actually helped me out a lot. I probably am saying this wrong, and that class probably sucks, but it helped me beat the game, so there you go. It definitely turned me into a fan of the Fire Emblem franchise, so I'm actually in the process of picking up a couple other Fire Emblem games. I'm trying out the one on the GameCube, because I still have my GameCube, and that's where I'm going to start off on them, because I heard that one's also really, really good. So, the reason why I love Fire Emblem, I'd have to just say it's the whole experience. It's the game, it's the franchise. Well, from what I've played of Three Houses. And if I can recommend anyone to play a game on the Switch, Fire Emblem Three Houses is my #1 favorite video game on the Switch. So technically, if this were to be a Switch-related video, this would be my #1 favorite video game currently of the newer stuff. So I highly recommend this game. It's really emotional, really fun. I had a blast. I got lost. I think it's 70-hour storyline per one, plus there's DLC. I haven't played the DLC yet, because I've been letting people borrow this game to let them experience how fun it is. So yeah, next game, we're gonna get into the top 3, the big 3 now, so we'll get into. Now we're in the big 3. Now for anybody that knows me, there are 3 video game franchises that will forever hold a special place in my heart. In the future, I would like to get a tattoo from each of these series, just because that's how much of an emotional value they hold. And me, I would say I had some depression as a kid. Well, I mean, I'd say it's pretty normal for kids, well, for people to have depression. So I had depression, And these 3 games helped me get through that because like they just took my mind off of it. I was always excited for what the next game was gonna be. I was always excited to play the game. I have played every single game in all of these franchises. I have not missed a game. And I will always hold these 3 games dear to my heart. So, number 3, it's gonna be Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. Now, I wouldn't say this is my first Zelda game, but it is my first Zelda game that I 100% in. Pretty proud to say that. My first Zelda game was Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. At my grandparents' house, they had their Super Nintendo that I would play there, and I grew up at my grandparents' for most of my childhood during the morning because my parents had to go to school. So I would just, I'd be at my grandparents until like 5 just playing Link to the Past. Fun game. And after I played Link to the Past, I actually got a little curious of to what Zelda really was. And like many people, I thought Zelda was Link. Then I'm on YouTube and I start looking up more lore to Zelda, and I was like, wow, this is really something. And I'm a middle schooler, I would say, at the time. My first Zelda game, I would say I was probably like 6, 7 years old. Anyways, so I started playing other Zelda games like Minish Cap, Majora's Mask, just the very first Zelda, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and then I realized that I have a Nintendo 64 that I never touched, and I begged my dad to get me Ocarina of Time, which he did not. So I had to trade my friend a couple DS games to get a Nintendo 64, and I got Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I was super ecstatic and just ready to play this game. And I pop it open, I play the game, and I fall in love. The water temple in this game, holy crap, this game is hard. And I 100%ed it. And I was in middle school, and I look back at that, and I'm just like, wow, like, I did that. That's my accomplishment. This is my first Zelda game I 100%ed. And I don't know if you've ever played a Zelda game, but Zelda games are extremely hard. And yes, I cheated. I had a location guide for like all the items, but the games were still hard. I did not look up any guides for when I went into the dungeon. I only looked up the guide for the heart pieces. That was the only thing I looked it up, which is why I still hold this as like an accomplishment, because I was a little kid. Keep that in mind. And yeah, I just remember thinking like, wow, what next? I actually 100%ed a game. And let me tell you, if you 100% a game, boss fights are so much easier because you have hearts to waste. After I beat this game, I realized what's next. So then, naturally, I played Majora's Mask, which is part 2 of this. Had a lot of fun. That game, I love that game too. Really fun game. The reason why I put this game above that game is because, well, I found out this game came to the GameCube. So I bought it for the GameCube. Well, I beat the game on the GameCube. Not 100%, that took too long. But I beat it from beginning to end on the GameCube. And I was like, wow, I still remember a lot of stuff. That game was fun. So it came out on the 3DS. So I purchased it on the 3DS and I played it on the 3DS. And I had a lot of fun. And I played it from beginning to end. And I was just like, wow, this is a Zelda game that I've played from beginning to end 3 times now. And like, if it were to come out on the Switch, I would play it again beginning to end. And this is just one of those Zelda games that like, you can just play all the time, whenever. It doesn't matter. It's that fun to you. So that's why I put Ocarina of Time at number 3. Also, another thing is like, I actually really love the story for Ocarina of Time. So, okay, so we're down to the big 2. Well, shocker that this is my favorite game out of this franchise, but Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow for the Nintendo DS is my favorite. No, let me rephrase that. Is my all-time favorite Castlevania game, period. And like I said, by me saying that and not saying Symphony of the Night is my favorite game, I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments. So, go ahead, talk your trash. I'll accept it. I played Dawn of Sorrow. Was not my first Castlevania game, but was my first game that got me addicted to Castlevania. So my first Castlevania game was Super Castlevania 5 for the Super Nintendo. I loved that game. The soundtrack was amazing. I would always like just boot that game to listen to the music. The game was hard, but it also had passwords. So like, all you had to do was remember your password, and then you can progress from where you last died. It was like a checkpoint thing, really old school. Then, after I played that game, I played Simon's Quest, which was another really fun game. And then from there, what was the game after that? I would say the game after that was probably Aria of Sorrow. And as a kid growing up, I always thought Castlevania was more like, like Super Castlevania and, what was it? Super Castlevania and then Simon's Quest. Okay. So I always thought that they were like the traditional Castlevania games. I had no idea what a Metroidvania was. No clue. So, I'm playing Aria of Sorrow, and this is a Metroidvania. And my first thing is, I love 80s movies, and I love horror movies, and this game is filled with these weird, cool-looking creatures. And I just start playing that game, and I fill out the little library thing. You have a library that shows all the monsters you fought in the game. I 100%ed it, and I got all the monsters. And I would just sit there and just stare at the monsters. And just be like, wow, these are so cool looking. And then I played, then I begged my dad to get me Dawn of Sorrow. Because I loved Aria of Sorrow so much. And he got me it. And my dad is also a huge Castlevania fan. Not as much as me, but he loves Castlevania games. And this is also his favorite too. We got Dawn of Sorrow. And the reason why I wouldn't say Aria of Sorrow is better is because of that Dawn of Sorrow added more creatures, which was what I was playing the game for. Like, oh, look at these, they look cool. And the mechanics of the game. The whole game's a masterpiece in my opinion. So, I lost my train of thought. But yes, this game was really, really fun. We both started playing it. I remember I beat the game, and I was just like, wow, that was an amazing game. I loved it. You play as Soma Cruz, who, spoiler alert, is actually Dracula reincarnated, but as a good guy this time. And there's this evil cult trying to turn you into evil Dracula, or to steal your power. And in this game, you play as Soma Cruz, and when you beat the game and get the bad ending, Soma Cruz turns back into Dracula. But if you have this item, it's an item that they give you at the very beginning of the game. It's I think Lisa gives it to you. It's a lucky charm from her. If you equip that on you when you face that bad ending, you get the good ending, and the game doubles. And remember, this is my first Metroidvania. I had no idea that the game doubled. And I just went and it's like, opened up a brand new game. I got to see the other ending, I get to see this ending, and now, wow, like, it's a whole other side of the map, it's a whole other side of things. On Art of Sorrow, it did that too, but I would play on my father's profile because I was still kind of young. So my dad already beat all that stuff. So I had no idea the game was like this long. And the bosses in this game are so unique and fun. And from playing this game, after that, this is the game that got me to learn all of the lore of Castlevania, play every single game. Every single game. I have not missed one Castlevania game, and I'm proud of that. Same thing for Zelda, and same thing for my number one game. So with Castlevania, it introduced me. I played Symphony of the Night. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. It's a great game. It's an amazing game. It's a phenomenal game. I'll say that. But it wasn't Dawn of Sorrow for me. It had creatures that were already in Dawn of Sorrow that were regular creatures, whereas in Symphony of the Night, they're bosses. And yeah, just in Dawn of Sorrow, if they're regular people, like, seeing like new bosses that are, in my opinion, a better design is just more exciting to me. It is a good game though. I love that game. Another game I really love from this series that gets not a lot of love is Curse of Darkness for the PS2. I actually really like that game where he plays Hector, the Forge Master. Yeah, I actually really like that game. I know a lot of people don't really like the 3D Castlevania games that much. Mostly the Lords of Shadow, but we don't talk about Lords of Shadow. But yeah, I love this series. One day I would love to have like a Castlevania sleeve or a half a sleeve on my arm of just like angels and demons from the series and like characters. That would be really cool. Or even just a Belmont crest on me. I would love to have that. Even though Soma Cruz is my favorite character, I have a huge respect for the Belmonts. And bum bum bum, my favorite Belmont isn't Simon or Richter. What? I'll have a video later on my top Belmonts, their strengths, and why I love the Belmonts so much. Just on a Castlevania video, because I can make a Castlevania video. Why not? It's my channel. Next one. This is my number one game, and I'm pretty sure if you know me, you already know what it is. Okay, now we have it. My number one video game of all times. Now, if you haven't guessed it yet, it is Pokemon Platinum. Pokemon is my number one franchise. I don't know where to begin. Pokemon is that series that that helped me the most through when I was going through my depression and everything. Pokemon Platinum, I don't know what it was. I just fell in love with that game, I got drawn into it. So let me actually tell you a funny story on how I got my first Pokemon game. So, spoiler alert. No, this isn't even a spoiler, this is my life, what the heck? So, my very first Pokemon game was Pokemon Blue. But it wasn't my very first Pokemon game, technically, because I didn't own the Game Boy, and I didn't own the copy of the game. Whenever I would go over to my aunt's, I would play the game there. So I wouldn't really count it, but it is technically me playing a video game. So my very first Pokemon game is technically Pokemon Platinum for the Nintendo DS. Not Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Diamond. And how I got Pokemon Diamond is actually kind of funny. I had a binder, kind of like this one, probably about like that thick too, full of Pokemon cards. Because when I was little, I had already determined that I would love Pokemon forever, so I collected the cards, the toys, the plushies, everything, the cups. I literally had everything Pokemon because I was a huge fan. But the one thing I didn't have Pokemon was their games. And I've always wanted to play a Pokemon game. So, Pokemon Diamond just came out. All my friends in 4th grade have it, except for me. And my friend asked me if I wanted to borrow it and play it, so I said, sure, I'll borrow it and play it. I had no idea what I was doing in that game. First of all, like, yes, the game tells you what to do and everything, but like, I came from someone who watched the anime, and I was in 4th grade, so like, I'm just like, how do I train my Pokemon? Like, how do I get it to learn more than 4 attacks? Like, how do I get it to battle with my other Pokemon that I own to level it up and learn new moves? How do I evolve it? Like, I had so many questions as a kid, and I played this game and got even more confused, so I gave it back to my friend. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this game one day and I will play it by myself and I will figure everything out. So, my other friend in class, he got the game. He hated the game, absolutely hated it. Same reason as me. He was just like, dude, this is nothing like the anime. Like, this game's stupid. I don't like it. Unlike him, I wanted to give the game a try, so I actually traded my binder of cards for that game. Might not have been worth it now that I'm thinking about it, because I had an OG copy. Oh, it was a really good condition too of Blastoise, first edition. So I mean, got away with that. But other than that, it was fine. I mean, it introduced me to Pokemon, so I don't really care that much. From there, I played the game. Still had no clue what I was doing, but I was having fun not knowing what I was doing. And then I did it. I finally understood a Pokemon game. I got one Pokemon, and I beat that game with just one Pokemon, which was Luxray. And then I got Platinum the next year that it came out. I worked at my grandpa's house doing yard work, saved up the $30 for that year, and bought Pokemon Platinum. I pre-ordered it and everything. And I was playing this game, and holy crap, it was such an improvement on Pokemon Diamond. And when I was playing this game, I knew how to train, I knew how to do everything, so I was set to play this game. And I would probably say I beat this game about a good 10 times. And every time I played that game, I had around 200 hours on it. Don't know how I had that many hours. I was a little kid running around in this Pokemon world. But, I mean, hey, me running around, I figured everything out. Like, Giratina's area in Pokemon Diamond, like, he wasn't even at the, where Arceus shows up. He was in his own little forest area, and you had to figure out this little puzzle maze just to get to him. But when I figured that out, man, that was insane. And then the Darkrai event, Cresselia, Heatran. There was so many legendaries in that game that, to me, it was really memorable, because like all the legendaries, I think it has the most legendaries out of all the Pokemon games. But that game had the most legendaries. It gave baby forms to older Pokemon, and it gave evolutions to older Pokemon. And it also came with new Pokemon, which was also, like, those all three amazing. Because, I mean, a lot of people don't really like pre-Evos. I love baby Pokemon, personally. I think they're such a cool concept. Like Pichu, Igglybuff, right? Igglybuff? Yeah, Igglybuff. Togepi, just all of them. They're just, I think they're a cool concept, and they need to do more baby Pokemon. And this game had them. So, I don't know. Out of all the Pokemon games, this game will always hold my number one. But there's actually a game. Do I have it around? There's actually another game that's putting up a number one spot. And it's not a game that I've played countless hours before. It's not a game where I'm just like, oh, I have 200 plus. Well, I don't know about this game, but I probably do have 200 plus hours on this game. But it's actually Pokemon Sword and Shield for the Nintendo Switch. The reason why I would put this game as one of my favorite games of all times is for one reason and one reason only. This game, I know this game had a lot of controversy when it was first coming out, and a lot of people hated this game and hated it and boycotted it and stuff. But like, this game was one of the most fun games I've had since Pokemon Platinum. Playing this game, I instantly reminded me of Pokemon Platinum. The entire time, I was just like, wow, like this game's actually fun. Raids, such a cool concept. Stuff like that. I'm a VGC player. I will actually start trying to put more VGC videos out on Pokemon. I know I should probably do that, but I'll put out some VGC videos and show you why I have so many hours on this game. This is one of my favorite games for VGC just because the seasons are changing so much, and we're getting DLC in this game, so that means every wave of DLC will be a new meta basically, which is exciting to me. It won't ever be the same boring meta. So that is my #1 video game, Pokemon Platinum for the Nintendo DS. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's my #1 video game. Next video I think I will do is probably my top 10 animes. I think that'll be really fun to show you like what animes make me. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, comment down below what your favorites are. And down in the description below, I actually have a link to all my social medias. If you would love to join the Sad Boy Hooligans, gang, that's me. I highly encourage you go and follow my social medias. I don't just post video game content on there. I also post anime pictures. I post sad boy stuff on there. It's really fun. Check them out. It takes 1 second. And if you like them, follow. Thank you. Bye.